Welcome to Inside Sim Racing. I'm Sean Cole. So a few episodes ago, we actually on a Tamiya Sim Rig of the Week featured Darren's beast of a Rennsport rig here. Also a while ago, the guys at Symprojects had sent me a new product theirs called the Pro Shift, but I ended up never getting around to putting it together yet or not having the time to do so. But it was when we featured this rig that I thought to myself, now is the time to not only put that together, but combined it with a few of their other products. The Pro Shift is a compact and easy to use board which allows you to drive up to 16 LEDs. These LEDs can be programmed to go on or off on a huge variety of onboard car functions depending on what you assign to them and what sim you are using on the PC. The kit we got came with 16 LEDs separated into 4 of each color: red, yellow, green, and blue. At the Symprojects website, they have a cool spreadsheet that shows all of the functions that are available to each sim. Now the first step is really figuring out just what I want to do with each of the LEDs, and in our case we'll be using iRacing most of the time, however it'll work on most PC sims. I've decided that I want a cool rev bar that I'll use 3 green followed by 3 yellow and then 3 red lights going from left to right. I want to also have flashing lights for when I hit the pit speed limiter, and in that case I'm going to use 3 blue LEDs. That leaves me 1 of each color left, and for that I'm going to use flag warnings like green, yellow, and blue flags, and the red one for my oil temperature warning light. So on a side note, before building this, I thought it would be a good idea to test the Pro Shift, and that's for 2 reasons. Number 1, LEDs don't tell you what color they are, so I really wanted to fire the whole thing up so I could tell which ones were green, yellow, red, and blue. And the other reason is, I'm still not 100% sure how things are going to work in the sim. So before I go dedicating a rev limiter or any other indicator lights, I do want to confirm, especially in iRacing, that I'm going to be able to make all of these things work. I used a drumstick and laid all 16 LEDs in order. The Pro Shift board has pins in rows of 2 in 12 positions named zones 1, 2, and 3. They also have another 2 titled Shift and Auxiliary, making a total of 16 positions. There are another 4 sets of pins titled Switch that with a firmware update could be used for buttons if I wanted. Now Darren already has a button box, so that wasn't needed here. The kit comes with jumper wires that will connect to the pins, and then you can plug that onto each LED on the other end. When using all 16 jumpers, I did notice that it was getting very tight placing them onto the board, and it even started bending the board a bit, but it seemed to work out well enough. Now plug in a mini USB into the board and you're ready to go. From here it's onto the software. I had already downloaded the latest version of Sim-Dash 1.3.4 and had installed it for Darren's other devices. When I plugged Pro Shift in, it immediately showed up on the Sim-Dash, and I could then configure each light. Also, this is when it will turn on every light, and this is a good time for identifying the colors and checking your wiring to make sure you have the right polarity. If an LED isn't turning on at this point, try turning around the wiring and it'll probably come to life. Once in the Sim-Dash panel for the Pro Shift, you will find a drop-down for each LED. They are in order as they are on the board from 1 through 16. You can select from any of the available functions and then set a certain parameter depending on the type of function. So you can select each LED to make them go on, off, or blink at slow, medium, or fast rates. So you have a lot of options in here and a lot of options that I didn't even talk about, but we are set up to use it or build our box. So I'm going to take a quick break and then we're going to focus on building a box that we can put onto this rig.
GamePod, the ultimate race rig for those serious about sim racing. Puts you in the driver's seat with all the controls at your fingertips. Be number 1 on the road, in the race, in the game. GamePod, the choice of champions.
Welcome back to the show, and like I said, now we're going to get back to Darren's rig. Now I mentioned earlier, he already had the rev burner running his tach, He already had the larger of the two gear indicators. Now with the new product, it was time to really make it look pretty. What I wanted to do was use all of these lights for certain indicators and then enclose them in something that included the tach and gear indicator as well. And even better, I wanted to do it really cheap. The next thing to figure out is my layout and just how to make a box to mount everything in it. I used paper and chipboard to make a template and then decided to make the box out of foam core. This means the box will be light and relatively weak, but it will be cheap and easy to make. I took time to draw the lines for all the holes for all of my LEDs, the tachometer, and the gear indicator. And after I was certain that everything was perfectly straight, I started cutting all the holes. I then cut out the sides for the box and painted all the pieces black. I decided to use the mount for the tach, which was already mounted to 80/20 profile and very strong. This means the whole box will be hanging off of the tach and will need to be mounted very solid. Using a bunch of pieces of scrap foam core and a ton of hot melt glue, I mounted the tach and then braced the 80/20 that it's mounted to the faceplate as well. The rectangle for the gear indicator was a perfect snug fit, and then I did the same thing by adding extra foam core and hot melt glue. All of the LEDs come with cool mounting sleeves, so I installed all 16 of those and then started adding the LEDs, making sure to put the proper colors in the desired locations. I then added the bottom and the two sides of the box to strengthen things up a bit, leaving the top open for access, and then began wiring. Next, add each wire connector to the LEDs, and then you can mount the board in a convenient location. I made a small deck out of foam core and then hot melted it securely in place. I still had to add the rev burner board, and I did the same thing, made a deck from foam core and glued it in place. Once happy with everything, run the USB wires for the 3 different boards and the power cord for the rev burner, glue on the top, and you're all done. All I have to do now is install the profile mount onto his old mount, and this thing is ready to run. Now the overall cost of the project was actually pretty cheap. The rev burner itself cost $45. The gear indicator cost another $38. We spent $20 on a tachometer, and the new Pro Shift item cost an additional $50. I spent about $7 on the foam core and the paint, for a grand total of about $160. I can tell you that what we have done has really enhanced what was already working and very useful. I used to say that certain devices like these are really only for the flashiness. They won't make you faster. But I have to tell you, after a longer period of time and much more testing, that these devices do make you faster. With this rev limiter, it's really hard to miss your shift points. And having a gear indicator is something I rely on much more than I'd like to have to admit. So a while back we reviewed the rev burner and the gear indicator. So today it was more about putting it all together and knocking some of the roughness off the edges of the DIY fashion of products from Symprojects. And when it comes to the rev scale, all of these products I put in the category of add-on, more than necessary. However, if you've spent some serious money on a sim rig, or you're out there looking for the next level of realism or immersion, then there's no denying the value of this product. And when I say this product, I mean the combined 3 and my snazzy little box. And therefore on the rev scale, I'm going to give the whole group a 9 out of 10. Now, if you're interested in these products or many of the other products they have, you can go to www.symprojects.com and check them out there. I hope you've enjoyed this review. I'm Sean Cole, and I'll see you on the track. Oh, please don't use that as a blooper there. Two episodes. It was last time. This is it. Moneymaker. Also a while. Damn it. Okay. This is it. So therefore, on the rib scale. Anyway, that's not what I wanted to say either. That's not what I wanted to say either. That's not what I wanted to say either. Wow, did I? I'm going to do one more, but I think I did that right. I think that was fine.